So let's start with the first myth. I call it the 93% solution. Put that up on the board. 93%. Have any of you ever heard this percentage come from someone working in the field of presentation skills? Any of you ever heard someone say, 93% of communication is nonverbal? Ah, you have heard it. So maybe from somebody who wasn't teaching presentation skills, maybe they were teaching communication instead. All right. Is this true? Where does this come from? How do you explain it? Well, I can show you a pie chart. Here it is. Some of you may have seen this before. When I put it up the other day in, where was that the other day? Two Rolls. Someone said, oh, I've seen that before. These things get around. Now, the way Lynn Mead explains it, 7% of communication is words. I do have a few questions about this. If I would have said, oh boy, I would have had these questions. Now, does that mean if I say 100 words, you're going to remember 7? Is that the 7%? Or does it mean you're going to remember 7% of each word? So if the word has 7 letters or 10 letters, it's going to be hard to get the fraction exact. Anyway, Gillen says that body language represents 55% of communication, and voice tone represents 38%. If you want a little more explanation of this, more detailed, more categorical, I receive newsletters. You know those newsletters that consultants send out? Let me show you just the excerpt from the newsletter where she explains this. If I can call your attention on it, because I really don't mean for you to read this whole thing. I'm going to fix this better so there'll be less run. Vocal qualities are 38% of the impression we form of people. So you remember this chart? The voice tone, that's about the impression. Intrigue. Okay? And then, she says, nonverbal qualities represent 55% of the impact. So, this is impression, and this is impact. And this is 7%. Now, is that more clear? I found a website for a German technical university which was holding a workshop on presentation skills, because engineers need this stuff. So they had this website, and they explained on the website a little more, like in sentences, what these percentages represent. Here's the website. 55% through facial expression, posture, and gesture. This is moving the arms around, how you stand, and your facial expression. And 33% of the time. My idea is always to go to the source, and that's what we're going to do now. We'll go to the source. Here's a quotation which refers to the man who came up with these percentages. Right, here it is. Before you read this comes from Using English for Academic Purposes, a program for the really smart people at the University of Hertfordshire in England. I invite you to read what it says. You all have a chance to read it? See, now what you know is, it's not just impression or impact, it's total impact. Again, it's total impact, and it's Albert Moravian who figured this out. How do we know this? Well, another expert, Alan Peeves, who wrote the book Body Language, tells us so. So let's bring Al into the room. Here he is. There's Al Moravian, clinical researcher, psychological researcher in the United States, still alive today, was doing a lot of research. The research that the percentages came from was done in the 1970s. You notice he smiles and makes eye contact. These are presentation skills, which we teach in workshops. Would you like to know what research Al Moravian did to come up with these percentages? Yes. I'll tell you. Al Moravian started out, he did a two-part experiment. And the first part starts with one word. Here's the word. Maybe. Al recorded a woman's voice saying the word maybe in 3 different ways. A positive way, maybe. A negative way, maybe. And then a neutral way, maybe. Then he played these different voices for the test subjects and asked them to check, was this a positive, negative, neutral? And he graded them to see how many they got. Then, to add the other component to it, he took 3 pictures of a woman's face. A positive picture, smiling, a negative picture, frowning, and then a neutral picture, sort of looking like a zombie. And he showed the people the correct picture with the particular tone of voice, and then graded them again on how many they got right or wrong, to see if they got more right if they had the visual input as well, you see. This gave him one set of percentages. And now he wanted to, after he'd gotten this set of percentages, he wanted to do another test which was purely oral, so then he came up with 9 words in 3 categories. And here are the 9 words. 3 positive words: honey, dear, thanks. Neutral words: maybe, really, oh. And then negative words: dumb, brute, terrible. A brute is a mean person. Brutal, brutality. And he played with them and asked them to judge whether they were positive. When he put all the statistics together, that's how he came up with 55% and 38% and 7%. Now, you'll notice he was using pictures of a woman, so I'm not quite sure how you get posture and gesture in an experiment where there wasn't any posture or gesture involved. And if you just think about it on its face, if you ask a friend, would you like to go to the movies? Maybe we'll go movie. And they only say one word, maybe. Yeah, you're going to look at them to figure out, how did they, was that like a yes maybe, a no maybe, a neutral maybe? It's possible. There's only one word, and the word itself, like maybe, is ambiguous. But suppose you're in a lecture, and the lecturer shows you an equation. E equals mc squared. Comes from Einstein, right? Any of you seen this equation before? You know the E stands for energy. The M stands for mass. And the C stands for the speed of light. 186,000 miles per second. Squared. So 186,000 squared is 186,000. That's a huge number. So if you take a particle and it has a certain mass, and you multiply that mass, like 1 gram, by the speed of light squared, some millions and millions, well, that explains how you release so much energy if you really exploded the atom in that particle. You see, that's how nuclear reacts. Now, did it matter to you what my facial expression was while I was explaining that? It had nothing to do. Did my tone of voice? No, I mean, E equals mc squared. It doesn't matter how I say it. See, if I was the 10-year-old kid and they showed me that experiment, I'd say, well, I understand that works with 1 word, but what about 100 words? What about 1,000 words? So there's no 93% solution.